seat of Balus. The dust of Kukuna village shimmered under the relentless sun. Life moved at a pace dictated by the seasons, marked by the planting, the harvest, and the annual monsoon. In the heart of it all, nestled between the bustling marketplace and the sleepy riverbank, stood an ancient banyan tree, its aerial roots, like gnarled fingers, clutched at the earth, anchoring it to generations past. And beneath its sprawling canopy sat Bela, the village teacher. Life had been good to Bela. He wasn't a grand figure, not in the physical sense. He was a man of modest stature, his face etched with the map of time and wisdom. His eyes, though, held a light that could illuminate the darkest corners of the heart. He wasn't a scholar trained in distant cities, or a priest versed in ancient scriptures. Bela was simply a man who knew the language of the land and the rhythm of its people. For as long as anyone could remember, he'd been the go-to person when the well of wisdom ran dry. Villagers from Kukuna and neighboring settlements, farmers, weavers, potters, even the occasional wandering merchant, all came seeking his guidance. Some brought tangible problems, others intangible worries that gnawed at their souls. They came with questions that tangled their lives, disputes over land, anxieties about the future, yearnings for meaning. And Bela, the unassuming teacher, the man who knew the language of the land and the rhythm of its people, was there to help them untangle those knots. He didn't dispense advice, like a merchant trading wares. No, Bela weighed his words carefully, ensuring they resonated with the hearts of those who sought him out. A farmer named Rohan came to him, his face creased with worry. Their father died. He left a will that left everything to the eldest Dev, leaving Rohan with nothing. Now, Dev had always been jealous of his younger brother, resenting him for the love their father had showered upon him. So when he read the will, his heart swelled with greed and delight. On the other hand, Rohan felt betrayed, not by his brother, but by their father. He couldn't understand why his father would treat him so badly, especially after he took care of him all these years. He went to Wala, hoping the old man could help him understand his father's decision. Sitting under the banyan tree, surrounded by the soothing sounds of nature, Rohan poured his heart out to Bela, venting his frustrations and hurt. Bela listened patiently, his gaze fixed on the intricate weave of a spider's web glistening with morning dew. When Rohan finished, there was silence. It seemed as though Bela was lost in deep thought. Finally, he spoke, his voice a gentle murmur. Rohan, imagine two clay pots, both filled with water. One is placed high upon a shelf, catching the sun's warmth, its water quickly evaporating. The other rests in the cool shade, its water lasting longer. Which pot is truly more blessed? Rohan pondered. The one in the shade, I suppose. But the one in the sun, Bela continued, provides water for thirsty birds that cannot reach the ground. Each pot has its purpose, and each its burden. Your brother's land may seem larger, but so too are his responsibilities. Focus on cultivating your own patch of earth, Rohan, and let the sun shine on both your harvests. These words struck a chord within Rohan, resonating with the deep-seated wisdom that had been passed down through generations in their village. The concept of interconnectedness was deeply ingrained in their culture. Just as the sun's rays touched both the full and empty pot, so too did life's blessings and challenges. Before he could respond, Bela continued, do not envy your brother's seemingly larger share, for it comes with its own set of circumstances. Your responsibility, Rohan, lies in nurturing what you have and honoring the choices made by those before you. Remember, life is a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, abundance and scarcity. It is in the balance of these threads that we find true harmony. As Bela spoke, Rohan felt a shift within himself. The anger that had been a dark cloud over his heart began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of calm understanding. He realized that his father's will, far from being an act of partiality, was a test of character, a way to see how each son would respond to adversity. He thanked Bela for his guidance and returned home with a newfound resolve. Instead of wallowing in self-pity, Rohan decided to make the most of his situation. He began by tending to the small plot of land he had inherited, pouring his heart and soul into it. He planted a variety of crops, each one a testament to his dedication and hard work. Day by day, his small plot flourished, becoming a model of efficiency and growth. Meanwhile, Dev, consumed by his own envy and greed, neglected the larger piece of land his father had entrusted to him. Over time, the once bountiful fields began to wither, reflecting the decay that had taken root in his heart. In the end, it was not the size of their inheritance, but the way they managed it that determined their fates. Rohan, through his humility and perseverance, had turned his small plot into a thriving enterprise. His crops were not only abundant, but of exceptional quality, earning him the admiration and respect of the community. Dev, on the other hand, found himself isolated and destitute, consumed by the consequences of his own destructive choices. The tale of Rohan and Dev became a parable in the village, a reminder of the importance of contentment and the pitfalls of unchecked envy. The village teacher, and the profound impact he had on those he guided. A young woman named Latu approached Bela. Her steps were heavy with sorrow, her eyes downcast. She was known for her infectious laughter and radiant smile, but now her face was etched with despair. As she sat beneath the banyan tree, she confided in Bela, her voice trembling. "Oh, wise Bela, my heart is shattered. My betrothed, Kamal, has broken our engagement. Without a word of explanation, my family's respect is slipping away like sand through my fingers. I feel lost and broken." Her words hung heavy in the air, echoing the depth of her despair. Bala, with his innate understanding of human emotions, reached out, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. He gently urged her to share her feelings, knowing that sometimes the greatest healing comes from simply being heard. Latu poured out her story, each word a shard of glass, piercing her soul. Kamal, the man she had dreamed of sharing her life with, had suddenly ended their engagement, leaving her with nothing but heartache and unanswered questions. When she finished, Bela remained silent for a moment, lost in contemplation. Then, with the gentleness that had become his hallmark, he spoke. He plucked a dry leaf from the banyan and crushed it in his hand. The brittle fragments scattered on the ground. "Latu," he said softly, "a fallen leaf returns to the earth, nourishing the very tree from which it came. Your heart may be broken now, but your spirit will not be diminished. Let this pain become nourishment for your soul, and you will blossom anew, stronger and more beautiful than before." His words, simple yet profound, resonated with Latu, striking a chord within her shattered heart. She looked up at Bala, her eyes glistening with tears. As days turned into weeks, Latu began to heal. She channeled her grief into acts of kindness, helping others in need and volunteering her time to those who had less. With each act of generosity, she felt a part of her broken heart mend. News of her transformation spread throughout the village, touching the hearts of many. Even Kamal, who had broken her heart, was moved by her grace and resilience. Kamal realized that he had been wrong to end their engagement and had underestimated the strength of her character. Kamal returned to Latu, seeking forgiveness and a second chance. He had learned a valuable lesson about love, respect, and the importance of cherishing the bonds that truly mattered. Latu, with the wisdom and emotional fortitude she had gained from her experience, forgave him. She understood that mistakes were a part of life, and that true love meant giving second chances. Their reunion under the banyan tree was a celebration of love, forgiveness, and the indomitable spirit of the human heart. And Bela, the village teacher, smiled knowingly, his heart filled with the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. He had guided another young soul back to the path of love and understanding. Bala's teachings weren't confined to the dusty scrolls of ancient texts or the hallowed halls of academies. No, his wisdom bloomed from the fertile soil of everyday life, nurtured by the sun and rain of shared experiences. He was a gardener of the soul, his wisdom the seeds that sprouted into deep understanding and empathy. Bala's influence wove itself into the fabric of Kukuna and the surrounding villages. His teachings echoed in the rustling leaves of the banyan tree, whispering to those who had ears to hear. So if you ever find yourself beneath the shade of a banyan, pondering the riddles of life, remember the story of Bela, the unassuming teacher whose wisdom knew no bounds. For in his words, you might just find the answers you seek, watered by the life-giving rains of his timeless parables. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.